Hi, my name is Thomas Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO of GetUpNGetFit Wellness Concierge. I'm also a C-suite advisor and investor, and you're listening to the How May I Serve You podcast, where I'm constantly on the quest to surround myself with the best coaches while learning how to better serve our executive clientele by asking them, How may I serve you? Today's show is sponsored by Get Up and Get Fit. And Get Up and Get Fit will be providing students with textbooks and school supplies in Cambodia in honor of our guest today, as well as our philanthropic mission to impact at least 50,000 people per year. And today's guest is Sabrina Wirth. Sabrina, how you doing?
I'm great.
Awesome, awesome. I was always going to see your smiley face. So Sabrina Wirth is a writer, artist, curator, and art advisor. Although born and raised in New York City, she spent most of her childhood in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. I got it. And speaks five languages. Sabrina, you speak five languages? I didn't know that. She has a deep appreciation for different cultures and believes that good communication is key to adapting in any environment. Sabrina, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So Sabrina, listen, I did not know you spoke five languages.
Yeah, well, one of the five is pretty elementary, but the other four are very fluent.
Okay, so what the other four? What are they?
So, Spanish is my first language because I grew up, or I spent the first 6 years of my life in Mexico.
Okay, Mexico.
Allende. Um, and tiny little town. I went back and I walked around the whole place in about an hour, but at the time it seemed huge. I speak Italian because my family on my dad's side lives in Italy, and I
Okay.
grew up going there. French, I learned it in school, and if you already know Spanish, then it's pretty easy to learn French. English, obviously, and then I learned some German when I did a master's course at Columbia.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, you are a linguist.
Yeah.
And you know what, Sabrina? I guess we both got the memo because we both rocking turtlenecks today. The turtleneck crew. So Sabrina, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know you mentioned where you live, you spoke about your language, but let's dive more into who is Sabrina Wirth. All right. I know you and I met at my birthday party, and we had a great time, and I had to maintain communication because you're such
We're
an
both
amazing
Leos.
person. Come again?
We're both Leos.
That's true. We are both Leos.
That's why we connected so fast.
Yes, indeed. So Sabrina, I want you to tell us where you're from, and what got you started into the whole art community.
So actually that question, which should be a very easy question, is always something that ends up with a very long answer because I was born in New York,
Yeah.
and I have been living here most of my life. But I do feel like I am a part of a lot of different cultures. Mexico and my childhood over there made a huge impact on me, and that's probably why I continued to maintain the Spanish. My mother's from El Salvador, and my dad is Swiss, but grew up in and was born in Rome.
Mm,
So it's I think that a lot of people with these international backgrounds have a hard time answering that question as well, because you don't know if you always feel like you belong somewhere else. And
mm,
although I feel very much like a New Yorker, I also feel very comfortable with my European friends and also my Latinos. So I think that something that really makes up who I am is basically this international background. I love speaking to people and learning about where they come from. And I think languages is really a key to be able to understand different cultures because it's not just being able to communicate, it's learning how people communicate and why
Mm-hmm.
they use certain words and where they come from, and everything is really connected.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So, being that you are a citizen of the world, right? You
Yeah.
you have different background which has merged into this beautiful person, Sabrina, right? Um, what's your outlook on life, right? Because I know you look at life differently compared to a person that has been one place and has focused on one culture. When you look at just life in general, what are some things that drive you, and what are your outlook on life?
Um, that's a big question. But I realized I didn't really fully answer the first one about the art background, and that I think ties in with my outlook on life. And
Mm-hmm.
I I think that the reason why I gravitate to so much towards art, and the art world, art community, is because it is such a connector, and people from all over the world can communicate through art, and it's like this universal language.
There we
So
go.
it's language without using words, and it's more through emotions. And I think I'm somebody who is driven a lot by how I feel about things. And I don't know if that's a Leo thing, but I've heard that it might be. But uh, about me personally, I really do often go with my gut feelings on things, and if something doesn't feel right, I usually don't. I'll turn away from that, and if I feel really strongly about something, I'm going to put 150% into that.
Mm,
So my outlook on life is really about help. I actually really like your outlook on life, and I believe in that too. That it's really about how much you can contribute, and it's more about trying to give as much as possible. So if you have some kind of a gift, something you're really good at, you should try to find a way to use that to benefit others. But I also believe that there isn't anything 100% altruistic, even
mm.
though I've tried to test that theory. And there, the reason why there isn't anything that's completely altruistic is because no matter how much you will try and give as much of yourself, you there isn't some ultimate reward that you kind of want, and whether it is to feel good about what you're doing for other people, or in the end, you want it to come back to you. So I would say that I'm trying to use whatever I'm good at,
Mm-hmm.
and try to make the most of it. And I am very interested in so many things. Like you said in the beginning, I'm a writer, I'm an art advisor, I'm an artist, and I want to do everything. And I do all those things. I've written in magazines, and I've 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 shown my work in exhibitions, and I've shown other people's work in exhibition. It always feels great when I see my work published, when I exhibit my work, when I sell work, when I sell my work. It always gives me adrenaline. But at the same time, I'm doing it because I want to have a purpose. So
Mm.
if I most of the pieces that I've written have been profiles on artists, so I'm elevating their careers, but at the same time I get to publish something.
Yeah.
um, so I feel good when I can contribute and and make a difference. So
There
if
you go.
I've made some kind of difference somewhere because of something that I'm good at, that's like the best high.
There you go. There you go. So Sabrina, I know that you are um you're also very adventurous, right? And
Yeah.
you there's no putting Sabrina in the box, right? There's no way to define you because you have so many assets and facets to you, right? You also you create documentaries as well. You know, you do water sports, right? Right? There's so many aspects to you. So have you always been that way? Ever since you were a child? Have you always been the adventurous type, you know, the wild, curious type? Talk to me about that.
Um, yeah, I don't really know where it comes from, but I have always been trying to push the envelope to see what I can do and what I can get away with. Um, and I remember, I mean, I got into so many adventures in Mexico when I was living there. I mean, I was a little girl, but I had no fear, and
Mm.
I didn't care about what anybody ever thought, and I wasn't self-conscious. So I would always try things. Like I'd I'd say to my girlfriends, "Let's go into the park and make some, and make some money from the tourists." And sounds like I was like a little street performer, but it was just very innocent. And I had a keyboard that had music already recorded on it, so it looked like it could look like you're playing it live. And so I would tell my friend to pretend she's playing it, and then my other friend and I would choreograph a dance. And I knew that we looked cute because we were little, so I said, they're just gonna give us money.
You were an entrepreneur early on. Okay.
Yeah. um, and then but I never was thinking, oh, this looks like I'm a little poor street performer or something. I was just thinking, it's fun and I'm making money, so now I can use that money and can buy some candy. I didn't have any self-consciousness. I also would just go into a restaurant and I'd see a piano, and even if there were people there, I would sit down and I would start playing. Now,
Wow.
if I see a piano in the middle of a hotel lobby or something, even if there are three people there, no, actually, if there are three people, I probably would start playing. But if it was full of people, I'm not going to sit down and play because, first of all, I forgot most of what I learned before. But before I just would just sit down and play. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And yeah, I love water sports. I love water skiing and skiing. I like going fast, and
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Adrenaline junkie.
yeah, and I like traveling to places that other people wouldn't, because I am fascinated by being able to know. I'm very curious, so I'm
Okay.
fascinated about learning about different places that um, have been written about somewhere, but very few people have actually gone there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the truth is, if it's true the way they've written it,
Yeah.
or the only way to find out is to experience it. So I guess the most adventurous trip I've ever taken was when I went to Kurdistan in Iraq.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in 2019, at the end of 2019.
How's
And
that experience?
it was one of the most incredible trips I've ever taken. Um, and it was because it was so new and it was so eye-opening, and
Mm-hmm.
I felt like an explorer. I don't know any other American. I don't know anybody who has gone to Iraq except unless they went to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And and of course, this area of Iraq is very safe. I took all the precautions. I asked the right questions. I saw that um, if the stamp was on my passport, I'd still be able to be allowed back in the country, in the
Yeah.
U.S.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. But
Yeah,
that's awesome right there because you don't typically hear people talk about I'm going to a rag for vacation, right? You don't hear that. So just the fact that you decided to step out of your
Yeah.
comfort zone and go out there and just be curious, that definitely shows the type of person you are. You know, you're
Yeah.
adventurous and curious.
It
So
wasn't really
go ahead.
vacation. It was like with a purpose. It was to go with an artist and go explore certain specific places. So I I went there. I also contacted a ton of magazines, told them about the itinerary, and then I ended up being able to publish a few articles about that trip and about
Okay.
artists that I met there. So I kind of rolled up some purpose into that trip. So it didn't
Got it.
feel, like a vacation only.
So you were very intentional. That's good. Okay. Okay. So I want you to talk to us about what a typical day looks like for you, right? Because as a art curator, as a person that's adventurous, you are multifaceted. What does your day look like typically?
um, well, my days aren't very typical at the moment, but because I'll just tell you about what it's like when I'm in the middle of curating a show.
Yeah.
Um, I first of all love planning for shows, and I love figuring out all the logistics and everything from figuring out the date of when I'm gonna do it to who I need to contact in order to make everything happen, and then coordinating between the artists and and I don't know, like whoever is gonna be involved. So I have for to plan an exhibition, it has to be extremely organized. I have a timeline. The first thing I do is figure out the date, the space where it's going to be. I send a save the date. I it's it's just a ton of emailing back and forth between everybody who's involved. Sometimes for a show, I will, when I'm very sure of the space and yeah, when I'm pretty sure of where it's going to be, I will draw up a mock, uh, I'll make a mock plan of the space. I'll
Yeah.
make it 3D on paper, and then I'll print out the images of what I'm going to put on the wall, and then I'll play around until it's in a configuration that I really like. And the whole thing is that it's not really just an arbitrary assembly of artwork on the walls. It has to tell a story, otherwise it's not.
Mm,
Otherwise, what's the point of the exhibition? The exhibition has to say something.
yeah.
So I will work to recreate how it's going to be. I'm going to think of what's necessary for that. I'll have to put together a price list, which will have information about the show, and so that'll probably include talking to the artist a lot about anything that's missing, any information that's missing, and it's basically going on and on and on. And I hate doing things on the day of the show.
Hmm.
I try to get everything done maybe even a week before, although that's a little unrealistic. And if anybody who's an art curator or in the art industry is listening to this, they'll say, no, we're always doing it until the last minute, because that's kind of what happens when you're creative. And
Hmm.
just in the arts, I don't know, you can't always expect everybody to get back to you at the time that you need it. So I try to give myself as much time as possible when there's a time limit, and I'll try to get everything. My deadline will be a week before, but allowing for that week to just get any extra information out. And so then after the show, it's not over, because after the show, you have to do tons of follow-up. You have to write a list of anybody who's interested in the work,
Hmm.
have to make sure you have all the information that you could just send to them about whatever they were interested in. And it's just constant follow-up. It's sometimes some would say that after the show is even more important because
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah, the riches are in the follow-ups, most definitely,
yeah,
So
it's tough.
it seems like you're doing so many different things. Do you have a team to assist you, or are you doing this by yourself?
um for my last big show, I did have a few people helping me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have anybody constantly working with me every day. However, I often do say that I probably would be able to get a lot more done if I hired somebody like an intern or something, or
Got it.
I don't know.
Okay, okay. And also, with you constantly moving around and multitasking and tending to this, tending to that, you are burning a lot of calories. You are expending a lot of energy. What time do you have to invest in yourself and your well-being?
Well, currently I'm not in the middle of a big show, so I'm not. I've been slowing down a little bit right now.
Uh-huh.
So, but I still like to try and wake up early and get as much stuff done early on in the morning that I, just have to do, and then later spend more time doing the things that I want to do.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, what do I do to right now? I think I'm taking care of myself.
Okay. So wait, what does that look like though? Are you doing some squats in the middle of the day? Are you are you going out for a run? Like what are you doing? I'm just curious.
Okay,
I'm trying to live vicariously through you.
yeah, so I, like you said, I'm somebody who's constantly moving around, so
Yeah.
I prefer to be active. And
Got it.
um, even though during COVID, I think I became more of an introvert, even though I'm very much an extrovert.
Hmm.
I mean, introvert in the way that I've spent so much time on my own than I ever have before, and that drains me because I'm naturally more of an extrovert. So
Yeah.
in order to get my energy back, when I'm starting to feel down, I will just go outside and I'll walk through the park, or I'll walk around the block. Just being outside is something that really helps me. Even normally I'm working from home, but I I I realize if I change my location, I can be really productive.
Hmm.
I can't. I just don't like being by myself in one place for a long period of time. I need to go somewhere that inspires me. And
Hmm.
when I really feel drained and I feel like down, you know, especially yesterday when it was so dark by 4 p.m.
Yeah. It
Before,
was.
yeah, I felt like it was 10 p.m. and it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm feeling depressed at home, thinking, "Oh my God, there's like no light, and all my lights were on." So when I'm feeling like that, I'll actually go to a museum, or I'll walk to the museum, or I'll go to a supermarket and I'll buy some healthy food. So I
Okay.
feel good about what so I don't end up eating cookies or whatever that's at home.
That's
But
good though.
yeah, just the movement of going outside. Something always inspires me when I'm outside. Um,
Okay.
and I think that actually helps a lot of people, because my friend called me yesterday and she said, "Sabrina, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm feeling so down." And I thought, "Oh, wow, me too." But I think it's because of the weather. And so
Hmm.
I said, it always helps to just take a break from whatever you're doing and just go outside, go see some art, go make a coffee date with somebody, something that changes the current momentum.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree with you 100% because it's all about movement equates to life, right? And especially if you're in stagnation, if you're living a sedentary lifestyle, you might not notice it in the beginning, but it's going to add up, right? You be in one place, you staring at the computer, or you be in a dark place, your mood's going to change, because we are exposed to the environment, and we have a reciprocal relationship. It's a reciprocal relationship, right? This is why in certain places where it's darker most days of the year, there's a higher depression rate, you know so
Yeah.
I'm glad you have the tools and you're able to take action to switch your mood, and so kudos to you. You're able to get up, go to the museum to see some art, or go to the grocery store to get some good eats, good healthy eats, and it has been helping thus far, so keep it up.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So
Exactly.
I mean, so Sabrina, I want to dive further and just learn about like what drives you. I know you're a creative person. You are adventurous. You love to move on the whim, right? But what drives you? Like what inspires you to do what you do on a regular basis?
Um, well, first, I get so much happiness and
Mm-hmm.
so much excitement when I'm able to create something from nothing.
Mm,
Create a huge exhibition, for example, only because that's one of the last big things that I did, out of just an idea I had.
okay.
Um, and what drives me is being able to continue building off momentum and creating. So just creating, and then and with a purpose. So I, like, for example, I had a blog which I need to I need to get back into and revive it. But when I was really into it, I had this idea of what I wanted the blog to become. And I would write and I would research and I would, make it like a magazine quality.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, I wasn't really sure if anybody was reading it, but I would just put a lot of effort into it. And then I saw that a lot of people were commenting, and people, when I looked at the stats, I saw that people were really reading it and they really appreciated it. And so that gave me motivation to keep going, because I realized that whatever I was doing, even though I didn't know, or I didn't do it because I wanted to do it because I wanted to create really good quality writing online.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that it had an impact on people and people were inspired by it. And so that motivated me to keep going. And so I think that I'm just really motivated by finding ways to create something that eventually serves to inspire other people too.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and also, um, okay, I'll give you another example. Okay, because it's making me sound like I'm this little saint. I just want to inspire everybody, which I do. But during the pandemic, during lockdown, I created a mask out of a silk tie that was, I was still at my mom's, and there were all these leftover ties from either my brothers or my dad, and they didn't want them anymore. And I had been thinking, what can I do with these ties? I want to, do something with them. It's like good silk. So I made a mask, and I learned on YouTube how to sew it, and then I tried it out, and I put it on my mom, and she was my model, and I took a photo. And as soon as I did that, so many people messaged me that they wanted to buy the mask. And at first I was feeling like, is it ethical to sell my masks when we're supposed to be giving away masks, but then I thought, well, this is a beautiful product that I just made, and if people want to buy it, then yeah, why not? So I started selling them, and it made me feel really good that something I made was like the value of what I made was being recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times people don't really believe in their own value. And that's something that I have struggled with a lot as a creative person. Like, how do I monetize something that I've done? And if I think it's easy to do, is it still really valuable? Well, actually, it's not that easy for anybody, for just anybody to do it. And so something that I've continuously worked on is just being able to put a real value on what I create and recognizing that other people find what I do as valuable. So this constant working on myself and working on recognizing what value I can provide, and that value can be translated monetarily, that is something that also motivates me, because I realize I can create my own, like I can build my own financial stability, or I can create what I want by recognizing that. But it's a constant thing that I have to keep on building on. But I think a lot of artists also have this issue, and that's why I can relate to a lot of artists. And
Yeah, you mentioned artists, but I would say artists and entrepreneurs as well, right? Because the goal is you're still creating, even though it might not be art, but you're creating from scratch, or you're trying to repurpose something. And a lot of folks deal with that imposter syndrome, or feeling like they're not good enough, or they're not worthy. But in reality, everything you see around us came from somebody, and we all have been there. We struggle with insecurities. We struggle with feeling that we're not adequate enough. So we've all been it. It's part of human nature, right? But the goal is to work on yourself. Like you mentioned, the more you work on yourself, the more you invest in yourself, the more confidence you have to create more, and replicate the process. All right. So just keep at it. Keep at it. Continue to work on yourself. Continue to build that confidence, because you have created some great things. Articles, art creation, documentary. So just keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. So what would you say to those other entrepreneurs and artists that are dealing with this issue right now? What would you say that they need to do to create some type of sustainable reassurance within themselves?
Yeah, actually, I think that having tried out so many things, I have a good perspective on what it's like to just keep trying and keep at it and not giving up. So something I would say to artists is, okay, so there's a quote that my brother had on his wall, and it was from Prefontaine,
Okay.
the runner. And it said, I can't even remember it 100%, but it said, like, not giving it your 100% is like giving up on the gift. Something like that. I can't really remember exactly what it is, but the point of it is that if you have a gift and you don't share it, and you don't put all the effort into it to share it with the world, then that is just doing a big disservice to everybody. Because if you have something, like you're a good writer, you should write. You should use your voice to tell stories that other people can't tell. Even if you feel self-conscious about saying them, you are a good writer. So use that. Not everybody is a good writer. And if you are a let's see, if you are really good at, okay, something that I'm not good at. Like if you're really good at Excel sheets and finance things and all that, there are so many people who are not good at it and really could use your skills. So I think the most important thing for artists and entrepreneurs um, is to recognize that they don't have to be, the top experts in their fields in order to
Hmm.
contribute. There are so many people online who are giving classes and talks, and they're not, the top recognized leaders in the world in that field, but they are inspiring other people in their audience. So like there will be an audience for them. You can try something so random, like maybe you're really good making at doing accents. Um, and maybe that sounds very random, but if you start just playing around and maybe you do a YouTube channel or a TikTok and you start
Hmm.
showing it off, you will, I don't know, you will entertain people. And entertaining is also a form of inspiration. And
And arts.
yeah, so I think that a lot of people suffer from this imposter syndrome. A lot of
Hmm.
people feel like whatever they're good at is not good enough.
Hmm.
But I think that now in this world where there's so many ways to disseminate content, and everybody is just, absorbing it all the time, left and right, every single type uh, of channel that is available, every kind of platform. So there's so much content people are craving all the time. And even if you don't think you're the biggest expert, you have something to say.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed. Yes, indeed. Definitely,
yeah,
definitely. You know what? Those are some profound words right there. And everyone that's listening, take heed. Take heed. All right. So,
yeah.
Sabrina, are you currently working on any new projects that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
So currently an I have artwork in my art salon up by an Italian artist
Hmm.
called Paolo Campagnolo. And I took over the coffee shop next door, and I put up some more work over there of his, and I want to organize something between them so that people will come to my art salon and then maybe also go over there. Um, and it's a private art salon, so in order to come see it, you'd have to make an appointment with me.
Okay. So, how can people reach you? That's a question.
So you can go onto my website, which is wirthgallery.com.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, it's WirthGalerie. So it's spelled the French way, or Swiss way. You can contact me via the website, or you can just email me, sabrina@wirthgallery.com. I also have an Instagram, wirthgallery.com. I mean, not .com, just Wirth Gallery. And but also I'm currently also finishing up some paintings that I did a whole series during the pandemic, and they were all these miniature uh,
Okay.
paintings, and I'm just doing some more of those at the moment. But yeah, you can, if you want to know any more, you can go onto my website and contact me.
Awesome. Awesome. Sabrina, thank you for coming on. And I would also like to thank all of our listeners and viewers for lending us their ears and their eyeballs. But last but not least, I have a question for you, Miss Sabrina. And that is, how may I serve you?
Well, you've already served me with your energy and your inspirational messages. So I honestly, every time I speak with you, every time I have a conversation with you, I feel like my energy level just goes up. Um, so I think that just like, let's have more conversations.
Okay, okay,
You can serve me. Um,
okay,
how
okay.
can
Oh,
I?
you know what? Let's continue this friendship because you're awesome, and I'm pretty sure there will be things that will come into fruition from our friendship.
I
So
hope
again, this is your host Thomas Johnson, and if you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to share it with someone that will benefit, and make sure to tune in for next week's episode. Take care, stay blessed, and cheers. We're out.
peace.